Good morning, students. Welcome back to session 6 of vector spaces class. So in the last class we have studied what's meant by homomorphism, and the set of homomorphism from vector space V to W is denoted by hom of VW, and we have proved that if V is of vector space of dimension say n and dimension of the vector space W is m, then dimension of the vector space hom of VW, dimension of the vector space hom of VW is n into m, means there are n into n number of basis elements for the vector space hom of VW. There are n into n number of basis elements for the vector space hom of VW, that we denote it by Tijs. And also I have defined what's meant by hom of VV, means homomorphisms from V into V. Such homomorphisms are known as linear operators. Linear operators that we study in detail in the linear transformation. And also hom of VF means if W is equal to F, then hom of F. So set of all homomorphisms from V to F. Such homomorphisms are known as linear functionals. Linear functionals. Here the dimension of hom of VV is what? Dimension of hom of VV is n square, and the dimension of hom of VF is n itself, because F is a vector space over F of dimension 1. Therefore hom of VF is of dimension n if V is of dimension n. Okay, now we denote hom of VF by the symbol V raised to cap, V cap. Hom of VF by the symbol V cap. Okay, the vector space V cap is called the dual space of V. Dual space of V. The vector space V cap here is called the dual space of V, and dimension of V cap is also n if dimension of V is n. Okay, so now let VF be a vector space. Let VF be a vector space, and let V1, V2, etc. Vn be a basis of V. Then you define the element Vi cap belongs to V cap. You define the elements Vi cap belongs to V cap by Vi cap is a transformation from T to, they belongs to V cap means they are the functions from V to F. Okay, Vi caps are linear transformations from V to F, such that Vi cap of the element Vj, Vi cap of the element Vj is equal to 0 if I is not equal to j, 1 if I is equal to j. You define a linear functionals Vi caps from V to F by Vi cap of Vj is equal to 0 if I is not equal to j, and 1 if I is equal to j. Then what will happen? See here. Now V1, V2, etc. we have assumed that V1, V2, etc. Vn are the basis elements for V. Therefore any element of V can be written as x belongs to V implies how x looks? X look like linear combination of basis elements, say alpha 1 V1 plus alpha 2 V2, etc. alpha n Vn. Okay, so therefore Vi cap of x is equal to Vi cap of alpha 1 V1 plus alpha 2 V2, etc. alpha n Vn. So this implies what? Alpha 1 into Vi cap of V1, etc. Last in the middle element alpha I into Vi cap of Vi plus and so on. The last element is alpha n into Vi cap of Vn. So this is equal to, according to our definition, Vi cap of Vj is 0 if I is not equal to j, and 1 if I is equal to j. Therefore all other factors will become 0 except this. Vi cap of Vi is 1, therefore the total value is alpha I, means Vi cap of x is alpha I. Okay, so here Vi cap is nothing but Tij of what? Ohm of Vf. Last in the previous theorem, we know how to define Tijs. So the Tijs are nothing but Vi caps here. Okay. Here now, if we define, if V1, V2, etc. Vn are basis elements for V, and if V is of dimension n, then you know V cap is also of dimension n. Then what will be the basis? So the basis are here V1 cap, V2 cap, etc. Vn cap. Those are defined like this. Okay. So if V cap is a vector space of dimension n, then V1 cap, V2 cap, etc. Vn cap forms a basis of V cap. These basis elements are called dual basis. Dual basis. Dual basis are the basis elements dual to, or the basis elements dual to the basis V1, V2, etc. Vn of V. Okay. Next, let us discuss this result. Suppose V is a finite dimensional vector space and V is a non-zero vector in V. If V is a finite dimensional vector space and V is a non-zero vector in V, then there exists a functional f belongs to V cap such that f of V is also not zero. So if V is a non-zero element in a finite dimensional vector space V, then there exists a functional f in V cap such that f of V is also non-zero. Okay. So let us take dimension of V to be n. Let dimension of V is equal to n and let V be a non-zero element of V. We know that the non-zero singleton set, the non-zero element and the singleton set containing the non-zero element is always linearly independent. Okay. Now every non-zero element is linearly independent in V. Therefore, this non-zero element can be extended to form a basis of V. Say you extend this set. Say V is equal to V1. I add the element V2, V3 and so on Vn in V, which forms a basis of V. Okay. Now V1, V2, etc. Vn is a basis of V means then there exists the dual basis V1 cap, V2 cap, etc. Vn cap in V cap such that Vi cap of Vj is 0 if I is not equal to j and 1 if I is equal to j by the above discussion. Hence I will take V1 cap as f. Then we can see that f of V is what? V1 cap. F of V is means f is V1 cap. V means here V1. Okay. V means here V1. So V1 cap of V1, but V1 cap of V1 is 1, which is not 0 means f of V is not 0. Therefore, the existence of such function is assured here. Okay. So this is a very small result. Now let us take up the other discussion. The second dual of V or the dual of the dual space. How it looks, let's see. Suppose V is a non-zero vector in V. Okay, V is a non-zero vector in V. Then you know that then for each f belongs to V cap. Okay, suppose V is a non-zero vector in V. Then for each f functionals belongs to V cap, define the transformation TV from V cap to f. Okay, f is a function from V to f. Now I define a map TV from V cap to f by TV of f. TV of f is f of V. Now f of V is where it lies. It is a scalar. It lies in f. TV of f is equal to f of means TV of lies in f. Therefore the mapping is well defined. Okay. So I am defining the map TV from V cap to f by TV of f is equal to f of V. Now we claim that TV is a homomorphism. For this I will take any two elements of V cap, say f and g or any two elements of V cap, and alpha comma beta be scalars. You consider TV of alpha f plus beta g. So this is equal to TV of alpha f plus beta g means what? Alpha f plus beta g of V. Since f and g are linear, alpha into f of V plus beta into g of V. Alpha, this is equal to alpha into f of V means TV of f plus beta into TV of g. Therefore, TV of alpha f plus beta g is alpha into TV of f plus beta into TV of g. Therefore, TV is a homomorphism. TV is a homomorphism means consequently TV belongs to home of V cap F. Home of V cap F, but that we denote it by V double cap. V double cap called the second dual of V, or the dual space of V cap. Dual space of V cap or the second dual of V. In particular, the dimension of V double cap is equal to what? Dimension of V double cap is same as dimension of V cap. Okay, so that is nothing but the dimension of V. Therefore, if dimension of V is n, then dimension of V cap is also n, dimension of V double cap is also n. Okay, now we are going to prove another important result of this class. The theorem says if V is a finite dimensional vector space over a field F, then V is isomorphic to V double cap. V is isomorphic to V double cap. Okay, for this what we do is here, for every V belongs to V, we define the map TV from V cap to F by TV of F is equal to F of V. So for every V belongs to V, we define a map TV from V cap to F by TV of F is equal to F of V. So first we show that TV is a element of V double cap. Just now we have shown it. So TV is an element of V cap. V double cap means TV is a homomorphism. Now we need to show V is isomorphic to V double cap. For this reason, I will define a map xi from V to V double cap. Xi from V to V double cap by xi of V is equal to TV. So I will define a map xi from V to V double cap by xi of V is equal to TV. Now we show xi is a homomorphism. For this, you take any two elements, say u comma v belongs to V and alpha be a scalars. Now we consider xi of u plus v. Xi of u plus v means, according to the definition, t of u plus v. But for every f belongs to v cap, okay, we have t of u plus v of f is what? This is f of u plus v. F of u plus v is f of u plus f of v, because f is a linear map. So this is equal to tu of f plus tv of f. This is equal to tu plus tv of f. Therefore, t of u plus v is equal to, what will happen? Tu plus tv for every f belongs to v cap. And so you substitute this value here. Okay, what will happen? Xi of u plus v is equal to t of u plus v. So that's equal to tu plus tv. So tu is xi of u and tv is xi of v. Therefore, xi of u plus v is xi of u plus xi of v. And xi of alpha into u is equal to what? Xi of alpha into u is t of alpha into u. Again, for every f belongs to v cap, we have t of alpha u of f is f of alpha u. F of alpha u means alpha into f of u. So alpha into f of u means what? Tu of f. Therefore, t of alpha u is alpha times into t of u for every f belongs to v cap. Therefore, substitute this value here. Xi of alpha u is equal to t of alpha u. So t of alpha u is equal to alpha times into t of u. That's equal to alpha times into t of u is xi of u. Therefore, so xi of f plus g is xi of u plus v is xi of u plus xi of v, and xi of alpha into u is equal to alpha times into xi of u. Therefore, xi is a homomorphism. Now we show xi is 1, 1. Xi is 1 to 1. For this, we show that kernel of phi contains only the 0 element. Okay, kernel of phi contains only the 0 element. Now what is kernel of phi? Kernel of phi is the set containing those vectors in V which are mapped onto the 0 element of V double cap, that we denote it by 0 double cap. Okay, so now let V belongs to kernel of phi. The V belongs to kernel of phi means, then by definition xi of V is equal to 0 means 0 double cap. Xi of V is what? TV. TV is equal to 0 double cap. Now f is equal to g means f of x is equal to g of x for every x, and so this implies TV of f is equal to 0 double cap of f for every f belongs to v cap. So this implies TV of f means f of v is equal to 0, because 0 double cap of 0 means 0 double cap is a 0 transformation. Upon any function, upon any element, it gives 0. Therefore, this implies f of v is equal to 0 for every f belongs to v cap. Now, f of v is 0 for every f belongs to v cap implies what you say? V itself is 0. Therefore, kernel of phi contains only 0 element. Okay, kernel of phi contains only 0 element. Therefore, we can say xi is 1 1. Xi is 1 1. Next, xi is onto. So now we know that if v1, v2, etc. vn is a basis of v, then xi of v1, xi of v2, etc. xi of en is a basis of v double cap, because homomorphism maps basis elements onto the basis elements. Okay, homomorphism maps basis elements onto the basis elements. Therefore, if v1, v2, etc. vn is a basis of v, xi of v1, xi of v2, etc. xi of en is a basis of v double cap. Thus, what will happen? Xi of v1, xi of v2, etc. xi of en is a basis of v double cap, means every element of v double cap can be written as linear combination of these basis elements. So, if T belongs to any element of v double cap, then T can be written as scalar linear combination lambda 1 into xi of v1 plus lambda 2 into xi of v2, etc. lambda n into xi of vn. So this is equal to xi of, because xi is also a homomorphism in the beginning itself we have shown. Therefore, this is equal to xi of lambda 1 v1 plus lambda 2 v2, etc. lambda n vn. So this is equal to what? So if lambda 1 v1, lambda 2 v2, etc. lambda n vn. Now v1, v2, etc. vn are the basis elements for v. Therefore, it is a linear combination of basis elements, means it is an element of v only. That element I written it by v. So this is equal to xi of v for some v is equal to lambda 1 v2, lambda 2 v2, and etc. lambda n vn belongs to v. Therefore, for the element T belongs to v double cap, there exists an element v belongs to v such that xi of v is T. Therefore, then by definition xi is onto. Okay. Now xi is a homomorphism, xi is 1 1 and xi is onto. Therefore, xi is an isomorphism from v onto v double cap. Xi is an isomorphism of v onto v double cap. Therefore, xi is an isomorphism of v onto v double cap, means the spaces v and v double cap are isomorphic to each other. So v is isomorphic to v double cap. Next, let us take up another important definition. Suppose W is a subspace of a finite dimensional vector space V. Suppose W is a subspace of a finite dimensional vector space V, then the annihilator, you see this, annihilator of W is denoted by A of W. The annihilator of W is denoted by A of W and defined by A of W is equal to set of all F belongs to V cap, means set of all F functionals on V such that F of W is 0 for every W belongs to W. So annihilator of W is set of all those functionals in V cap such that which carries every element of W to 0, which carries every element of W to 0. Okay. Now, if we define A of W like this, then definitely A of W cannot be empty, because we have a 0 functional which is in V cap such that 0 cap of VW is 0 cap of W is definitely 0 for every W belongs to W. 0 cap is 0 transformation, always carries every element to 0 only. Therefore, this element 0 cap certainly lies in A of W. Therefore, A of W cannot be empty. Now, what about A of W? A of W contains the elements of V cap. Therefore, A of W is a subset of V cap. Okay. Now, can A of W is a subspace of V cap? Yes. I will show this in a remark that A of W is a subspace of V cap. Okay. Clearly, A of W is a subset of V cap. So, to show A of W is a subspace of V cap, I will take two elements, say f1g belongs to f w be arbitrary and alpha comma beta be scalars. Then alpha f plus beta g of w. Then Alpha f plus beta g of w is equal to what? Alpha into f of w plus beta into g of w. Alpha into f of, if w belongs to w, if w belongs to w, then f of w is what? 0, because f is an element of fw. Similarly, beta into g of w is also 0. So this is equal to, total sum is 0. Therefore, alpha f plus beta g of w is equal to 0 for every w belongs to w implies where alpha plus beta g lies. Alpha plus beta g lies in E of w, and so E of w is a subspace of V cap. Okay, E of w is a subspace of V cap. We take the next result. Second remark is, suppose we have w1 and w2 are subspaces of a vector space V, finite dimensional vector space V, such that w1 is contained in w2. If w1 and w2 are subspaces of vector space V such that w1 is contained in w2, then what will happen? A of w2 is contained in A of w1, means the inclusion is reversed. So if w1 is contained in w2, then A of w2 is contained in A of w2 is contained in A of w1. Okay. So now what is A of w1? It contains those functionals f belongs to V cap such that f of x is 0 for every x belongs to w1 by definition of an annihilator. Similarly, A of w2 contains set of all functionals f belongs to V cap such that f of y is 0 for every y belongs to w2. Okay. Now let f belongs to A of w2. You consider f belongs to A of w2. This implies what? F of y is 0 for every y belongs to w2. Okay. This implies, now w1 is contained in w2 means all the elements of w1 are in w2 itself. Okay. Therefore, f of y is 0 for every y belongs to w2 means f of x is also 0 for every x belongs to w1, because x belongs to w1 means x is also is in w2. Okay, because w1 is a subset of w2. This implies what? F of x is 0 for every x belongs to w1 implies f belongs to where? A of w1. Okay, we consider an element f in A of w2 and we have shown that that element lies in A of w1. Therefore, what you can declare? A of w2 is a subset of or subspace are contained in A of w1. Okay, if w1 is contained in w2, then A of w2 is contained in A of w1. Okay, let's take up the another remark. Suppose w1 and w2 are subspaces of a vector space V, then annihilator of w1 plus w2 is equal to annihilator of w1 intersection annihilator of w2. Annihilator of w1 plus w2 is equal to annihilator of w1 intersection annihilator of w2, and annihilator of w1 intersection w2 is equal to annihilator of w1 plus annihilator of w2. Okay. So let us prove one by one. So first one, we know that w1 is certainly contained in w1 plus w2 and w2 is also contained in w1 plus w2. Therefore, by the above result, what will happen? Annihilator of w1 plus w2 is contained in annihilator of w1, as well as annihilator of w1 plus w2 is contained in annihilator of w2. Therefore, annihilator of w1 plus w2 contained in both annihilator of w1 as well as annihilator of w2. Therefore, it is in their intersection. That is, annihilator of w1 plus w2 is contained in annihilator of w1 intersection annihilator of w2. So you call this as number 1. Okay, one inclusion we have proved. Okay, let's come to the converse part. Let f belongs to annihilator of w1 intersection annihilator of w2. This implies what? F belongs to annihilator of w1 as well as f belongs to annihilator of w2. Now f belongs to annihilator of w1 means what? F of x is 0 for every x belongs to w1, and f belongs to annihilator of w2 means what? F of y is 0 for every y belongs to w2. Now you choose w be any element of, you choose w be any element of the sum w1 plus w2. If w is an element of w1 plus w2, then by definition of a sum of subspaces, this W can be written as a sum of an element of W1 plus sum of an element of W2, that is W is equal to X plus Y for some X belongs to W1 and Y belongs to W2. Therefore, f of W is equal to f of X plus Y. So since f is linear, f of X plus f of Y. F of X is what? F of X is 0 because X belongs to W1 means f of X is 0 plus f of Y is also 0. Therefore, f of W is 0 for every W belongs to W1 plus W2. This means what? F belongs to annihilator of W1 plus W2. So we have chosen f is in annihilator of W1 intersection annihilator of W2, and we have shown f lies in annihilator of W1 plus W2. Therefore, annihilator of W1 intersection annihilator of W2 is contained in annihilator of W1 plus W2. So this we call it as 2. From 1 and 2 we can declare that annihilator of W1 plus W2 is equal to annihilator of W1 intersection annihilator of W2. Annihilator of W1 intersection annihilator of W1 plus W2 is equal to annihilator of W1 intersection annihilator of W2. Now let's come to the second one. So just now we have shown annihilator of W1 intersection annihilator of W2 is equal to annihilator of W1 plus W2. So now this implies you apply annihilator on both sides. This implies annihilator of the whole annihilator of W1 intersection annihilator of W2 is equal to annihilator of W1 plus W2. So this is equal to annihilator of, you write as it is on the left. So annihilator of W is W itself, that I will show later. A of W is W itself. Annihilator of W is W. According to that, this becomes W1 plus W2. Now you replace W1 and W2 by annihilator of W1 and annihilator of W2 on both the sides. We get annihilator of. So in place of W1 I replace annihilator of W1. In place of W2 I replace annihilator of W2. So this is equal to annihilator of W1 plus annihilator of W2. So this implies annihilator of W1 is W1 intersection. Annihilator of W2 is W2. Therefore, annihilator of W1 intersection W2 is equal to annihilator of W1 plus annihilator of W2. This is the required second condition. Okay. Next, let us come to the next result. Okay. Suppose V is a finite dimensional vector space over a field F, and suppose W is a subspace of V. Then V cap by A of W, we can construct this quotient space because A of W is a subspace of V cap. Therefore, we can construct the quotient space V cap by A of W is isomorphic to W cap. Okay, V cap by A of W is isomorphic to W cap. Further, dimension of the A of W is equal to dimension of V minus dimension of W. Dimension of the annihilator of W is equal to dimension of V minus dimension of W. Okay, let us prove one by one. So let F belongs to V cap. Okay, let F belongs to V cap. Now F belongs to V cap means what? F is a functional from V to F. F is a functional from V to F. We denote the restriction of F to the subspace W by F tilde because F is a mapping from, look here, F is a mapping for F belongs to V cap means what? F belongs to V cap means F is a linear functional from V to F, which is linear. Now W is a subspace of V. W is also a subspace of V. Say this is like, if you denote this by V and this by say F, then what? F is a linear functional, F is a linear transformation from V to F. Okay. Now this W is a subspace of V. Say this is W. Then F is also carrying elements of W to F. Okay. So this restriction, the f restriction to this space, I will denote this by f tilde. Okay, so f tilde is nothing but f only. It is restricted to only w. Okay, so f from w to f becomes f tilde. Okay, f from w to f becomes f tilde. So f tilde is a function from w to f. Okay, so now we restrict f to the subspace w by f tilde and define f tilde of w is equal to, as I said, f tilde of w is what? Same as f of w for every w belongs to w. That is, if f is a function from v to f, then f tilde is a function from w to f. Okay. Thus, if f belongs to v tilde, then f tilde belongs to w cap. If f belongs to v cap, then f tilde belongs to w cap. Okay. Now you define, our aim is to show v cap by a of w, v cap by a of w is isomorphic to w cap. For this reason, I will define a mapping T from v cap to w cap by T of f is equal to what? F tilde. T of f is equal to f tilde. Okay. Now we show this T is a homomorphism. Okay. For this, you consider, let f comma g belongs to v cap and alpha comma beta be scalars. Then T of alpha f plus beta g is what? T of alpha f plus beta g is alpha f plus beta g whole tilde. Okay. So now alpha f plus beta g whole tilde of x is equal to, by definition, alpha f plus beta g of x for every x belongs to w. Okay, by which we have defined. So this is equal to what? Alpha into f of x plus beta into g of x. So this is equal to alpha into f restricted to w is f tilde of x plus beta into g tilde of x. So this is equal to alpha into f tilde plus beta into g tilde of x for every x belongs to w. Therefore, alpha f plus beta g whole tilde is equal to alpha into f tilde plus beta into g tilde for every x belongs to w. Thus, T of alpha f plus beta g is alpha f plus beta g whole tilde, that's equal to alpha into f tilde plus beta into g tilde. So alpha into f tilde is T of f plus beta into g tilde means T of g. Therefore T is a homomorphism. Okay, T is a homomorphism. Next we will show T is onto. Okay, T is onto. So for this, let us take up this. Let w1, w2, etc. wm be a basis of w. If w1, w2, etc. wm is a basis of w means, then these vectors are linearly independent in w. Okay. If they are linearly independent in w, then they are linearly independent in v. Okay. So therefore, we can extend this linearly independent set to form a basis of v. So I will extend it as the set w1, w2, etc. wm. I add the other elements which are not in the linear span of these w1, w2, etc. wm. That is, those are v1, v2, etc. vr. I add these v1, v2, vr to this set so that this forms a basis of v. Then what will the dimension of v? Dimension of v becomes m elements plus r elements are added. Therefore, the dimension of v is m plus r. Okay. Let w1 be the subspace spanned by these r number of vectors. Let w1 be the subspace spanned by these r number of vectors. Then definitely w1 is a subspace of v, and v can be the direct sum of w plus w1, because these elements are the basis for w, and these elements are the basis for basis for w1. Therefore v is the direct sum of w plus w1. Okay. Now let h belongs to w cap be arbitrary. Let h belongs to w cap be arbitrary. What we have to show? It is the image of some element of v cap. Okay. So for this, we construct f belongs to v cap by f of v is equal to v belongs to v. Now f of v is equal to what? F of w plus w1, where w is an element of w, w1 is an element of w, because every element of v is a sum of an element of w plus sum of an element of w1. Okay. Therefore, what will happen? If v belongs to v, then v is equal to w plus w1. So this is equal to f of w plus w1, but that I will define it by h of w. I will denote it by h of w. That's equal to where v is equal to w1 plus w1 belongs to v, w belongs to w, w1 belongs to w. I will construct the mapping f belongs to v cap like this. Then what will happen? Now f tilde of w is what? F of w for every w belongs to w. This can be written as f of, can I write this as w plus 0? Yes. Okay. But f of w plus 0 is what? Where 0 belongs to w1 means, according to this construction, what it will be? H of w. Therefore, f tilde of w is equal to h of w for every w belongs to w means, what will happen? F tilde is nothing but h. Now T of f is f tilde, that is nothing but h. Therefore, if h belongs to, look here, if h belongs to w cap, then there exists f belongs to v cap such that T of f is equal to h. Okay. Therefore, what you can say? T is onto. Okay. T is onto. Therefore, now T is a homomorphism as well as onto. Then by fundamental theorem of homomorphism of vector spaces, what will happen? V cap by kernel of T is isomorphic to W cap. V cap by kernel of T is isomorphic to W cap. So now let's see what is this kernel of T. Okay, kernel of T is by definition, what will happen? Kernel of T is by definition, kernel of T is equal to set of all f belongs to V cap such that T of f is equal to 0 tilde. 0 tilde is an element of w. 0 tilde is the 0 element of W cap. Okay. So this is equal to set of all f belongs to V cap. T of f is what? F tilde. F tilde is equal to 0 tilde. So this is equal to set of all f belongs to V cap such that f tilde is equal to 0 tilde means f tilde of w is same as 0 tilde of w for every w belongs to w. So this is equal to set of all f belongs to V cap such that f tilde of w is what? By definition f of w, because f tilde is the restriction of f to w. Okay. So f of w is equal to 0 tilde of w is 0. So for every w belongs to w, you observe this set of all f belongs to V cap such that f of w is equal to 0 for every w belongs to w. This is by definition nothing but annihilator of w. Therefore, kernel of T is nothing but annihilator of w. So if you substitute this value in this expression, V cap by kernel of T is isomorphic to W cap, then we see that V cap by E of w is isomorphic to W cap. So we have proved the required condition. V cap by E of w is isomorphic to W cap. Okay. Next, so let us show the other condition also in this theorem. Now V cap by, just now we have shown V cap by A of w is isomorphic to W cap. So these two spaces are isomorphic means then we know that their dimension must be the same. Okay. So this implies dimension of the left hand side V cap by A of w is same as dimension of the right hand side W cap. So this implies by definition dimension of V cap by A of w is what? Dimension of V by w is dimension of V minus dimension of w. So accordingly this implies dimension of V cap minus dimension of A of w is equal to dimension of W cap. So but dimension of V cap is same as dimension of V. Therefore this is equal to dimension of V minus dimension of A of w. That's equal to dimension of W cap is dimension of w. Therefore if you keep this as it is and if you transform other two terms the right hand side, we see that dimension of E of W becomes dimension of V minus dimension of W, or in other words, dimension of E of W turn to right hand side, then it becomes dimension of V minus dimension of W. Therefore, we have proved dimension of the annihilator of W is equal to dimension of the vector space V minus dimension of the vector space W. Okay, this is also a very important result. Now, like as the second dual of the vector space, we can define annihilator of an annihilator. A of W is an annihilator of W, so we can define annihilator of an annihilator. Okay, so for this, let Vf be a vector space and W is any non-empty subset of V. Then we know that A of W is a subspace of which space? V cap. Okay, this is called the annihilator of W. By definition of an annihilator, we have annihilator of W is equal to what? Set of all T belongs to V double cap such that T of F is 0 for every F belongs to E of W. So, annihilator of W, see that it contains those transformation T belongs to V double cap such that T of F is 0 for every F belongs to annihilator of W. Okay. Clearly, A of W contains the elements of V double cap. Therefore, A of W is a subspace of V double cap, or the second dual of V. Okay. But we know that if V is finite dimensional, then we have proved then V is isomorphic to V double cap. Okay. We have proved that if V is a finite dimensional vector space, then V is isomorphic to V double cap. We have proved this result. Therefore, we can identify V double cap with V through the natural isomorphism V tends to T of V, that also we have defined. Okay. So, we identify V double cap with V through the natural isomorphism V. For every element V, we have a corresponding element TV. Therefore, we may regard A of W as a subspace of V itself, because A of W is a subspace of V double cap, but V double cap is isomorphic to V. Therefore, we can observe that we can have A of W to be a subspace of V itself. Therefore, we re-modify the above definition as A of W is equal to set of all, this is very important, A of W is equal to set of all V belongs to V such that F of V is 0 for every F belongs to A of W. Okay. So, A of W is set of all T belongs to V double cap. Instead of T belongs to V double cap, I will take an set of all V belongs to V such that T of F is what? TV of F means F of V. Therefore, F of set of all V belongs to V such that F of V is equal to 0. This is the already learned the definition, because TV belongs to V double cap means what? TV of F is, we have defined like F of V. So, set of all V belongs to V such that F of V is 0 for every F belongs to A of W. Okay. So, using this concept, we are going to show the result like if W is a subspace of a finite dimensional vector space V, then annihilator of W is W. Already we have used this result in proving the previous results. Okay. So, now I am going to show annihilator of W is nothing but W itself. Okay. For this, we know what is meant by annihilator of W. Annihilator of W is set of all linear functionals F belongs to V cap such that F of W is 0 for every W belongs to W. So, this is the A of W. We call this by number 1. Now, A of W is, just now we have defined set of all V belongs to V such that F of V is 0 for every F belongs to A of W. You call this as by number 2. Okay. Now, let us take an element in W. Let X be any element in W, which is an arbitrary element. Then from 1, what will happen? F of X is 0 for every F belongs to A of W. Then from 1, F of X is 0 for every F belongs to W means what will happen? By definition of 2, X belongs to A of W. Okay, therefore x belongs to W implies x belongs to A of W. Therefore W is a subset of A of W. One part we have proved. Okay, you call this as by number 3. Now to prove the converse, now W is a subspace of V. Okay, W is a subspace of V, and A of W is also a subspace of V because it contains A of W contains the elements of V only. Therefore A of W is also a subspace of V. Now W is a subspace of V, A of W is also a subspace of V, and moreover W is contained in A of W. Therefore what you can say, W is a subspace of A of W. Okay. Now W is a subspace of V, A of W is a subspace of V, and W is contained in A of W means W is also a subspace of A of W. Okay. We know that dimension of W plus dimension of A of W is equal to what? Dimension of V. Or we have proved dimension of A of W is equal to dimension of V minus dimension of W. Therefore dimension of A of W plus dimension of A of W is equal to dimension of V. So apply the above result for the vector spaces V cap and its subspace A of W. Then what will we get? Dimension of the subspace A of W plus dimension of the unlater A of W is equal to dimension of V cap. But dimension of V cap is nothing but dimension of V. So this implies dimension of A of W plus dimension of A of W is what? A of W is equal to, so now this is dimension of A of W plus dimension of A of W is equal to, okay, so this implies dimension of A of W plus dimension of A of W is equal to dimension of V cap, that's called dimension of V. This implies dimension of A of W plus dimension of A of W is equal to dimension of V itself. Now according to this, what will happen? Dimension of W plus dimension of A of W is equal to dimension of V. Therefore dimension of W is equal to what? Dimension of V minus dimension of A of W. So this is equal to dimension of W is equal to dimension of V minus dimension of A of W. So this is equal to dimension of V minus, according to this, dimension of A of W is what? This, according to this, dimension of A of W is equal to dimension of V minus dimension of A of W. I will substitute this value here, dimension of V minus dimension of V minus dimension of A of W. So this is equal to what? Dimension of V get cancelled. This is equal to dimension of A of W. So dimension of W is equal to dimension of A of W. Now we have shown W is a subspace of A of W, and dimension of W is equal to dimension of A of W means what you can declare? W itself is A of W. Okay, understand now? W is a subspace of A of W, and dimension of W is equal to dimension of A of W means you can declare that W is nothing but A of W. Okay. Now let us take up one example on the annihilator. Okay. Let V be R3 over R. Okay. Then, so we have taken V to the vector space R3 over R. Now in this, find A of W where W is spanned by the vectors 1, 2, 3 and the element 0, 4, minus 1. So we need to find A of W where W is spanned by these two vectors. Okay. Solution. How W looks? W is spanned by these two vectors means the W is the linear combination of these two elements. So W is equal to set of all x belongs to V such that it's the linear combination alpha times into 1, 2, 3 plus beta times into 0, 4, minus 1, where alpha and beta are real numbers because they are belongs to F means F is here R. Okay. And A of W is what? It contains set of all F belongs to V cap such that F of x is 0 for every x belongs to W, or in other words, set of all F belongs to V cap such that F of W is 0 for every W belongs to W. Okay. Now let V1, V2, since it is a R3, So there are three number of basis elements. So let V1, V2, V3 be a basis of V, and V1 cap, V2 cap, V3 cap be a basis of V cap, V double cap. Then every element of V cap can be written as a linear combination of V1 cap, V2 cap, V3 cap. Here F belongs to V cap, therefore we write F as a linear combination alpha 1 V1 cap plus alpha 2 V2 cap plus alpha 3 V3 cap. Okay. Now clearly the elements 1, 2, 3 as well as 0, 4, minus 1 definitely belongs to W, because they are spanning set of W means they must be the elements of W. Therefore, according to our definition of A of W, what will happen? F of 1, 2, 3 must be 0 and F of 0, 4, 0, minus 1 must also be 0, because A of W is set of all F belongs to V cap such that F of X is 0 for every X belongs to W. Okay. Therefore, now F of 1, 2, 3 is equal to 0 implies F of, now 1, 2, 3 can be written as, F of 1, 2, 3 can be written as in 1 into V1 plus 2 into V2 plus 3 into V3. Okay. So this is F of 1 into V1 plus 2 into V2 plus 3 into V3 is equal to 0. Okay. So this implies, okay, this implies F is what? Alpha 1 V1 cap, alpha 2 V2 cap plus alpha 3 V3 cap of V1 plus 2V2 plus 2V plus 2V2 plus 3V3 is equal to 0. Now this implies, now look here, this implies what? Alpha 1 into V1 cap of this plus alpha 2 into V2 cap of this, alpha 3 into V3 cap of this. But we know that Va cap of Vj is 0 if I is not equal to j, 1 if I is equal to j. Therefore what will happen? Alpha 1 into V1 cap of V1 is 1, V1 cap of V2 is 0, V1 cap of V3 is 0, therefore only alpha 1 remains. Likewise 2 times alpha 2 plus 3 times alpha 3 is equal to 0. We get one equation, okay, in alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3. Similarly, F of 0, 4, minus 1 is equal to 0 implies we get the other equation 4 alpha 2 minus alpha 3 is equal to 0. Now one equation says alpha 1 plus 2 alpha 2 plus 3 alpha 3 is equal to 0. The other equation says 4 alpha 2 minus alpha 3 is equal to 0. Now we have system of equations, two equations in three variables. Then what will be the solution? So it has infinite number of solution because one becomes the free variable. Two equations in three variables. So one become the free variable means I will take alpha 2 to be 1k. K may be any value. So if alpha 2 is equal to k, then what will happen? Alpha 3 becomes 4k. Alpha 3 is equal to 4k. Okay, alpha 3 is equal to 4k and alpha 1 becomes minus 14k. Therefore, F is what? F is alpha 1 V1 cap, alpha 2 V2 cap plus alpha 3 V3 cap. Therefore, substitute the values of alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3 here. Therefore, E of W contains set of all F belongs to V cap, functionals F belongs to V cap such that F is nothing but minus 14k into V1 cap plus k into V2 cap plus 4k into V3 cap of X is equal to, this is the F. F of X is equal to 0 for every X belongs to W. Because there are infinite number of value, you can take k may be any value, therefore E of W contains those functions having this property. This is the E of W. Okay, understand this? Now I will take another example. This example says, look here, if F and G are elements in V cap such that F of V is equal to 0 implies G of V is equal to 0. So if F and G are functionals in V cap such that F of V is equal to 0 implies G of V is equal to 0 for every V belongs to V, then prove that G is the multiple of F. G is depending on F. G is equal to lambda times F for some scalar lambda. So now they were given f of v is equal to 0 implies g of v is equal to 0, means f of v is 0 means what? Where v belongs to? V belongs to null space of f. Therefore, v belongs to null space of f imply v belongs to null space of g. Okay. This implies null space of f is contained in null space of g. Okay. Now, if f is a zero functional means f of x is equal to 0 for every x means, then null space of f is what? What is the null space of f? Null space of a zero transformation is nothing but the whole vector space V, because zero transformation carries every element of V to 0 only. So in the null space of f, zero transformation, null space of a zero transformation, every vector of V is in that. Okay, therefore null space of G is also V. Okay, null space of f is V, then null space of G is also V. And so what you can say, G is also a zero functional, so that G can be written as, if it is a zero functional, G 0 can be written as k times 0. So therefore G is equal to k times into f for every k belongs to f. Okay. So if f is a zero functional, then we prove the required condition. So let f be a non-zero functional on V. Let f be a non-zero functional of V. F is a non-zero functional means at least there exists one non-zero vector v0 not equal to 0 belongs to V, such that f of v0 is not equal to 0, because it is a non-zero functional means what? It maps at least one non-zero vector to non-zero vector. Okay. Therefore, there exists a non-zero vector v0 belongs to V, such that f of v0 is not equal to 0. So let k be the scalar which is the quotient of g of v0 by f of v0. Such k definitely exists, because f of v0 is not equal to 0 means this definitely exists. Now if v belongs to V, then we can write any vector in the vector space V as c into v0 plus v1. Definitely I can write vector v in V as c into v0, because v0 belongs to V. So I will take the linear combination of or multiples of v0 plus v1, where this v1 belongs to? This v1 belongs to the null space of f. This is always true. Therefore g of v becomes g of c into v0 plus v1. Since g is linear, c into g of v0 plus g of v1. This is equal to c into g of v0, but v1 belongs to null space of f means v1 belongs to null space of g. Okay, therefore g of v1 is 0. So this is equal to c times g of v0. So g of v is equal to c times g of v0. Now k into f of v is equal to k into f of v. That is equal to k into f of v means what? C into v0 plus v1. So k into c into v0 means what? According to, so this is equal to c into, okay, f of v0, okay, because f is linear, k into c into f of v0 plus f of v1. Okay, this is equal to k into c into f of v0. F of v1 is 0. Okay, because v1 belongs to null space of f. So this is equal to k means what? G of v0 by f of v0 into c into f of v0. Okay. So this is equal to f of v0 get cancelled. This is equal to c into g of v0. C into g of v0, just now we have shown c into g of v0 is nothing but g of v. Thus k into f of v is g of v for every v. Therefore what you can say, g is equal to k into f for every v belongs to v. So when f is a zero functional, then also we have shown g is the multiple of f, and if f is a non-zero functional, then also we have shown that g is the multiple of f, means g is equal to k into f, or g is equal to lambda into f for every v belongs to v. So we have proved the required condition, g is equal to lambda into f. Okay. Finally, you take the last result of this class. Say, suppose W1 and W2. Suppose W1 and W2 are subspaces of a finite dimensional vector space V, such that V is the direct sum of W1 and W2. Suppose W1 and W2 are subspaces of a finite dimensional vector space V, such that V is the direct sum of W1 and W2. Then V cap is equal to, A of W1 plus A of W2. V cap is the direct sum of annihilator of W1 plus annihilator of W2. So V cap is the direct sum of annihilator of W1 and annihilator of W2. We already proved dimension of V is equal to dimension of W1 plus W2, because V is the direct sum of W1 and W2 means dimension of V is dimension of W1 plus dimension of W2. So this is equal to dimension of W1 plus dimension of W2. Okay, because this is the direct sum means W1 intersection W2 is equal to 0. Dimension of that will be 0. Okay, so now dimension of A of W1 plus dimension of A of W1 plus A of W2 is equal to what? According to above convention, dimension of A of W1 plus dimension of A of W2. Okay, this is equal to dimension of A of W is what? Dimension of V minus dimension of W. So I use that result here. This is equal to dimension of V minus dimension of W1 plus dimension of A of W2 is dimension of V minus dimension of W2. So this becomes 2 times dimension of V minus dimension of W1 plus dimension of W2. So 2 times into dimension of V. What is dimension of W1 plus dimension of W2 is dimension of V. Therefore, this is 2 times dimension of V minus dimension of V, that's equal to dimension of V. But dimension of V is nothing but dimension of V cap. Dimension of V is nothing but dimension of V cap. Now, since A of W1 plus A of W2 is a subspace of V cap, we know this. Okay, dimension of since A of W1 plus A of W2 is subspace of V cap, and dimension of V cap is dimension of A of W1 plus dimension of A of W2. Therefore, what you can declare? V cap is nothing but A of W1 plus A of W2, means V cap is the direct sum of annihilator of W1 and annihilator of W2. Okay, these are the few results of this class. Thank you.